Why haven't they responded back to my application? Did I press send? Was there an error? So if you're anything like me, you've dedicated countless years to conquering all of those challenging science courses. You've poured your heart and soul into that relentless DAT preparation. You've penned a truly personal statement. You remain deeply engaged in clubs and volunteer work. And you even shadowed countless hours in pursuit of your dental dreams. But the dental schools haven't replied back to you yet. What in the hell is going on? Well, in today's video, we're gonna discuss why this is happening. And if you stay until the end, I'm gonna show you how I got the attention of an admissions member and landed an interview the very same day I reached out to them. Also, towards the end, I'll talk about what I see most dental students struggle with in this stressful time and how to overcome it and eventually get accepted into dental school. I know the anticipation can be nerve-wracking, but let's dive deep into some tips and game plan to make the most of this waiting period. First and foremost, take a deep breath and let it out slowly. The journey you're on is filled with uncertainty. I know and I get it because I was once in your shoes. You have the potential to reach your dreams of becoming a doctor of dental surgery if you're a patient just a little bit longer. Remember, every dental school operates on its own unique timeline, which means patience is your greatest ally right now. And admissions committees operate on a schedule that extends well into the year, leading up to school commencement, often until June or July. Pivotal moments of the admissions process, like interviews, invitations, acceptances, and even rejections, can unfold at any point during this period. While it may feel like an eternity, it's a process designed to ensure that every candidate receives fair consideration. Most often, news begins to trickle in from September onwards, and the climax usually arrives by Judgment Day, December. Radio silence can be quite haunting at times, and we live in a spooky generation where this has somehow become normalized. Being ghosted by an academic institution that holds the key to your future? Oh Lord. You need to be built differently to handle that. However, I want to reassure you that worrying endlessly isn't the answer. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Use this time constructively. If you're concerned about the outcome, channel that energy into something positive. Explore more volunteering opportunities and deepen your shadowing experiences, preparing yourself even better for next year's application if, by some chance, this year doesn't unfold as you hope. Worry can be a motivator, but only if you allow it to drive you toward action. Now, you may be in one of two scenarios currently. Alright, so scenario one, you've had at least one nerve-wracking dental school interview already. Here's what to do. First, something really important I see so many students neglect to do is to send a thank you note to your interviewer. It's always a great move to shoot a follow-up email to them. Just a nice little recap of your experience at the school, what you took away from your short time on campus. And hopefully by seeing my name once more on the bottom of this email, you'll accept me into your school kind of vibes, you know? Feel free to pop in any questions you have about student life or anything unique about the school. But to be honest, you should already know the answer to every question you ask an interviewer, and you should only be asking it to sound super interested in the school. It's like dating, right? We're just trying to keep the conversation going long enough for the person to accept you into their life. If you have to, compliment the interviewer. If you can't think of anything obvious, just make it up. You want to be memorable. Tip 2 is to stay in the loop and stay connected. Stay updated on what's happening at these schools. Try to attend virtual webinars and conferences hosted by the dental school. If you can, these things help you show interest. And when you eventually get an interview or send a follow-up letter, you can mention your active participation in these specific school events. But sometimes it's all about making sure your name gets noticed by the right people, like the Dean of Admissions, with a friendly sticky note that an admissions counselor may put on your application who felt positive vibes from you. Also, keep those grades in tip-top shape. Don't let them slip. Aim for those A grades. Your acceptance to dental school could hinge on those remaining course grades. And when you craft that letter of intent, you can proudly say that even during this challenging part of the process, you maintained your composure and still aced those courses. You're built for this. Lastly, let's talk about interview reflection. Take a moment to think about how the interview actually went. Picture yourself as the interviewer evaluating your own performance. What did your body language convey? Were you nervous or relatively calm? Did you come off as rehearsed and scripted, or did you appear genuine and engaging? Be honest with yourself about how it went and pinpoint those areas where you can improve so you can knock it out of the park on that next interview. Let's talk about scenario 2. So you're in a situation where you haven't received any dental school interview invitations yet. Don't sweat it. There are definitely options to consider. I know this can be a tough pill to swallow for a lot of aspiring dental students, but it's essential to take a step back and look at your application from the perspective of an admissions counselor who sifts through hundreds and hundreds of these applications daily. You have to ask yourself, is it your GPA? Is it your DAT? Is it your lack of dental experience? Or maybe it's that personal statement that's holding you back. Identifying these weak points is the first step towards improvement, especially if you're planning on reapplying in the future. Take a proactive approach. Don't just sit back and watch as other applicants sail right through the process. If it's your GPA that's causing trouble, consider looking into a master's program. If it's a less than ideal DAT score, maybe think about a retake. The sooner you come to terms with the reality of not receiving any interview offers, you'll come to realize that you have control over your own destiny. Then each step forward will be less stressful and you'll be able to chart your course toward your dream dental school. You don't want the entire application cycle to pass without having a backup plan in mind. Now, onto the letter of intent. Think of it a bit like dating. When you're getting ghosted, it's not a bad idea to reach out. Okay, maybe don't do that in dating. If you genuinely believe you deserve an interview, make your voice heard. As you navigate this process, you'll start to realize that it's a bit of a numbers game. How many times your name pops up in the front of an admissions committee member. And it's the kind of vibes you give off. It's really that simple. You might even come across students with perfect 4.0 GPAs who get rejected because they come off as robots with brilliant minds but poor people skills. In dentistry, emotional intelligence often trumps pure intellectual prowess. They're on the lookout for natural born leaders, and these qualities matter a lot in dentistry. I have reviewed countless pre-dental applications, and even before the mock interview stage, I can often sense how well the applicant might do in an interview just based on how they've put their application together. So keep in mind, it's not just about grades. It's about presenting yourself as a well-rounded candidate with the right mix of EQ and IQ. If you find yourself in the post-December period and you're wondering why those dental schools haven't knocked on your door yet, here's a little nudge in the right direction. Consider sending an academic update through the ADEA AdSess website. Now, as we roll towards mid-February, it might be time to think about shooting off a letter of intent to those prospective schools. I'll be creating a separate video to guide you on crafting the perfect follow-up email, so stay tuned for that. Here's a little secret that I found talking to so many students. It's that private schools tend to put a little bit more weight on these letters than the public ones, and it can genuinely make a difference in their eyes. I want to take this time to share with you all an inspiring personal story of mine on how I got an interview the very same day I reached out to an admissions counselor. Back in the day when I took my first shot at dental school, I cast my net wide, and I applied to a whopping 35 schools. Yes, I know that's a shitload. You know what they say, shoot or shoot. But there was a reason for that, as my stats were far from stellar. I had a 2.9 science GPA with a 3.1 overall, 20 academic average, and a 21 total science. Similarly to how you may be feeling right now, I waited anxiously, but the silence was deafening. 35 schools and not a single word until December 1st. And on December 1st, guess what I saw? I saw my friends in my graduating class on Insta getting accepted into their dream schools, celebrating life on the path to becoming a doctor. My heart sank and the sadness began to kick in. I finally heard back from some schools, but it was far from what I had hoped for. 2 schools that day sent me a rejection letter, and the other 33 remained silent. The sting was particularly deep because my dream school, NYU, and my very own state dental school, Rutgers, were my 2 rejections. That day was one of the saddest days of my life, but it was also a turning point. I didn't let that sadness and anxiety consume me. Instead, I harnessed it. I transformed it into determination to excel in the master's program I currently was in. I promised myself to finish the semester with unwavering strength and tackle my remaining coursework with unstoppable force. I foolishly convinced myself that the following year could yield different results if I persevered and remained patient with my own unique journey. And you know what? It worked. I channeled that emotional energy into something productive, something that would show the admissions committees that I recognized my shortcomings and I was committed to making a change. I showed them that I had what it takes to become a doctor, even when the odds seemed stacked against me. And that next cycle, I walked right into the admissions building of NYU Dental and asked if it was possible for a tour of the school. And to my luck, an admissions counselor offered to show me around. And I poured my heart out to her about why I deserved to be in the upcoming class. When I went home, As I arrived at Penn Station, I got a phone call. And when I was on the phone with her, she told me to check my email. And there it was, my very own invitation to interview at my dream dental school. And that was the day my life changed forever. Young doctors, if there's one thing you can take from my story, it's that setbacks and rejection letters are just stepping stones on your path to greatness. Use your challenges as fuel for your own journey. Let that ignite a burning desire within you to prove that you're capable of achieving your dreams, regardless of the obstacles. Remember, even real-life superheroes face their own share of trials and tribulations before donning their white coats. So my advice to you is simple. Don't let the worry consume you. Let it fuel your determination. For within it lies the opportunity to grow and ultimately achieve your dreams. Lastly, if February and March rolls around and you're still waiting in silence with no response, it might be time to consider reapplying for the next cycle. Take some time to identify the areas that you can improve on. So in conclusion, if you're feeling a bit lost and wondering why these dental schools haven't reached out to you, remember this: it's time to take the initiative. Grab that phone, give them a call. I get it, it can be intimidating, but trust me, it can yield fantastic results. Let me share some success stories with you. I recently advised a pre-dental student and she landed an interview at a highly competitive dental school just by sending a letter of intent that we worked on together. And she's not alone. Another applicant I know got 2 preliminary interviews with just a couple well-crafted emails. Another student of mine decided to retake the DAT mid-cycle and got an interview invite the following week when they submitted their score. So don't be shy and reach out and make your presence known. But here's a little disclaimer. If the school or program explicitly tells you not to contact them about the application, do not contact them about the application. So I promised you all I would talk about my experiences and what I see most students struggle with. And what I see is a simple lack of awareness on how long the application process really is. Additionally, there's often a misunderstanding of just how many applicants receive interview invitations and acceptances later in the cycle. I understand that waiting really long creates feelings of inadequacy, especially when you don't hear back from a lot of different schools. I completely understand your frustration with this entire dental school application process. It's all one big stressful event, one after another, after another, after another. First, it's the pressure of classes, maintaining a solid GPA. Then you're trying to balance school with extracurriculars and volunteer hours. Then you have to worry about acing the biggest test of your life in the DAT. Next come the letters of recommendation. Now you gotta pen the perfect personal statement. While in the back of your head, that submission deadline keeps getting you closer and closer, keeps you on edge because you want to apply early, right? Then you submit the application, but then, oh wait, did I make a mistake? Oh, is that gonna have me ghosted for the next 12 months? Hopefully you did it all right. But now the verification process takes an eternity. You go online to see homegirl with a 3.9 GPA and a 25 academic average, Googling therapists nearby since she only got 6 interviews. And then when you do get an interview, you're preparing for it because it's absolutely nerve-wracking. And then you're left in silence until Judgment Day, or even past that. Guys, I get it. Trust me, I'm not a fan of how it's all conducted either. It often feels like there's a lack of structure and transparency within the system. I mean, why are students with excellent applications left hanging in the dark with no responses? Why is it even acceptable for schools to leave students in the dark? We're investing our time and money into this journey, and at the very least, we deserve a clear timeline and regular updates on where we stand in the application cycle. It's baffling why some students with lower scores end up with multiple interview invitations too. Why did I have to submit an application fee and then a second fee for a supplemental? Why do we even need a supplemental to know more about me? Why don't you just invite me for an interview to find out? Oh, that's right. You want my $60 before you reject me. Cool. It seems like there's no rhyme or reason to what goes on during the cycle, and it really bothers me. But I want you guys to know that you're not alone. I went through this roller coaster for 2 whole years myself. But here's the thing. I want you to know that I'm here for you, and I'll do everything I can to support you and help you get those much needed interviews. But remember, if you don't hear back right away, it doesn't mean you're not worthy of getting in. If becoming a dentist was easy, everybody would do it, and the profession wouldn't hold the same value it does today. If you're confident in your stats, I'm here to stand by you every step of the way to ensure you lock in those precious interview slots that can boost your chances of getting accepted somewhere. Your support means the world to me, so if you like this video, please show your appreciation by giving it a thumbs up. And I'll leave you all with this quote from my great-great-grandfather who wisely said, "The future depends on what we do in the present." I'm just kidding, that was a Mahatma Gandhi quote. But we kind of look alike, don't we? Have faith in yourself, maintain a positive attitude about all of this, and just be proud of how far you've come to even reach this point. You're well on your way of achieving your dreams. All you need is a little patience. Remember, those who persevere and stay patient in this game are the ones who are ultimately rewarded. Until next time, Dr. Rana signing off.